If you're trading the stock market, then you probably have heard the term short squeeze. I'm sure you have. Obviously, GameStop was the biggest short squeeze in history, but it's not the only stock that has short squeezes. In fact, in the small cap market, in the penny stock market, short squeezes happen almost every single week. And they are very predictable. They're pretty easy to find. And if you can trade them properly, you can make some really, really good profits. I traded a short squeeze today on a stock called MLGO. I bought it at $5.70. I sold at the highest price at $13.10. Pretty good profit. And I'm going to be showing you exactly how I did it, how I knew that there were shorts trapped, how I found my entry, and most importantly, how I was able to hold for that big move and know when to sell. But before we look at MLGO's price action today, I think it's very important to look at what happened over the past week, because as we can see, this is not the first time that MLGO has popped up. In fact, its first green day was actually on June 4th, where on that day, they dropped some news. It had a very big spike from pre-market lows of $1.74 to highs of $14 per share. So as you can imagine, a lot of people, a lot of traders are going to want to chase this thing and hoping for it to continue on day 2, day 3. We can see that the average trade price happened at about $8.60. So we can just kind of extrapolate and assume that the average trader who bought MLGO on this day bought at around 8.50s, right? And so if they're going to be holding it overnight, they're going to wake up in the morning and see it's gapping down. So that's going to obviously show us that there are longs trapped, right? Anyone that bought this thing is now holding the bag underwater. And as we can see, that did influence the price action for the first 2 spikes. I made a video about this that I'm going to post probably after this one, but diving more into the bag holder idea, but it's important to talk about this now because we can see for the first 2 days, it got some volume. It just rejected, right? It couldn't really get any strength. The volume was too low. And ultimately, anyone that was holding the bag here, they see any pop, they're going to want to sell it. It just is what it is. We had another pop that happened just a few days later, where same exact thing, even rejected the same area, this kind of 560s line. You'll see why this is important in a sec. We had another rejection where, the stock gapped up for seemingly no reason, but then market open came around and it just flopped. Like it went nowhere, right? It went absolutely nowhere. So people are obviously still holding the bag, and this gives shorts confidence, right? Because short sellers will see this stock, they see the bag holders, and they say, well, and next time this thing pops up, I'm just going to short it. It's worked twice in the past. Why not work again? So then today we had yet more volume popped up off of no news. Just to be clear, right? This was off no news. So there's no catalyst, and it was popping up again. And of course, I was pretty skeptical. In my pre-market webinar I do every single day, I was saying, guys, you know what? This is a recent runner. It has bag holders. We see it still is rejecting that same line at 560s. So unless it can get over that, we have to assume that shorts are in control. Now, I did say that, there is some potential because the main bag holders are at about like 830s or 850s, right? There is some potential for a move to break from 560s to 850s. And that's, a decent, $3 per share. Definitely a respectable trade. So that's kind of what I was looking at. So, this morning I didn't know it was going to go to $16. I'll be honest. I mean, no one knows, right? I had no idea. But I knew that there was some potential to trap new shorts from today. And the main reason why I thought that is two main reasons, right? Number one, we can see that it was kind of stair-stepping. If you've seen my previous videos, I am a big proponent of the idea of like previous resistance holding as new support. And we see it did that right here a little bit, right? Held this area as new support. That would have been a very good entry if you were watching it. But still, during this pre-market, I was more concerned of the fact that, well, we've had these 2 days in the past that have rejected 560s. I want to wait to see if it's going to break out over 560s. Because if it does that, there might be a situation where anyone that shorted today is in short too early and they can easily get squeezed out. And that's going to influence that bigger squeeze up to 850s. And so what I always say every single day in TradeBuddy is if we're going to play a short squeeze, we need to see evidence that there are short sellers. And there, it wasn't that big of evidence, but there was evidence here. Obviously, first off, we can clearly see more sellers than buyers in pre-market at 560s, right? That means that there's more sellers than buyers. Yeah, I mean, the price spiked up, it held a level, fell back down. Quite literally, that means that there's more sellers than buyers, and that could also mean then there's short sellers too, right? Because at the end of the day, a short seller is just a seller. It's the same thing. Market open happened, and what do we see? The first two candles overall went down. And if you're a short seller who missed on the panic last week where it just sold off and dropped at market open, you're not going to want to miss that again, right? You're not going to want to miss that. You're going to probably chase it. So then now we have ample evidence. We can even see this candle. If we zoom in here close on the 5-minute chart, I'm not going to go to the 1-minute chart. I'm not a psycho. But we can see that it did have evidence, right? It held big volume resistance and rejected and sold off lower. So this candle probably caused some shorts to chase it. Sellers chased this thing. And then it just ripped right around, turned around, spiked up and halted. This obviously caught everyone off guard, right? We haven't seen MLGO do this in the past. Having a halt over new high of day after there's evidence that there's shorts trapped. Come on. I mean, that's really good evidence that, hey, anyone that sold from 560s and below is now sweating bullets, right? Even if you're not a short seller, but you're a long who maybe bought at 5 and sold at 550s, you were happy with the trade, but then you see a halt up to $6, you're probably going to chase it, right? People are dumb. People are stupid in the market. That's what they do. So this was ample enough evidence for me to say, okay, great. We have this short squeeze setup happening. I can make a plan here. And so the plan I made was to go long off this area, previous resistance as new support in the 570s, 560s, max loss break below 5. But once again, at this time, all I really thought could realistically happen is go to 850s. And so I made a plan. We have a tool at TradeBuddy called the Trade Planner. Here's the trade plan I made this morning. Obviously, ticker symbol MLGO. Accounts I'm using right now is 62K, just about. Entry price 573, risk level 495. I had first target initially at 850, and we'll go into the reason why I changed it in a second. But as you can see, this tells me that I can use about 1.5K shares. Now, you might laugh and say that's not that much size, but once again, I held it till $13. So screw you. If you think that's small size, I don't care. I'm not a scalper. Anyways, that was my plan, right? And so still, I wanted to have my first target be in the 850s. That's what I was hoping for during this first squeeze. So he pulled back. I got my entry. We held support really well. We broke out, squeezed up, got to $8, and then it kind of stuffed. So at this time, I was still concerned that, all we're going to see from this is it's just filling those bag holders, right? Once again, I was concerned of the fact that all we're going to see is it's just going to reject this previous support as new resistance, right? I thought that's all we could get. So when I saw it hold this resistance a bit lower, of course, I got a bit concerned and I modified my plan to then change my first target from 850s down to the 760s. And what's cool about this trade planner is that it dynamically will tell you, how much shares you should sell to lock in and cover your max loss. Pretty cool. Also has some profit targets here. I don't use these that often, but they are useful for new traders just to kind of lock in, consistent R values. And so once we pulled back, during this pullback, the main thing I'm saying is, okay, it's fine. As long as it holds previous resistance as new support at 620, it's chilling. But of course, wanted to lock in my partial profits to kind of, take off some risk and allow the real move to happen. So locked in some partials into this push. And by the way, if you want to see my executions, I'll post them at the very end from my TraderVue screenshot. So, if you want to see those, stick around. But then you can see we eventually had that bigger squeeze up, hit 850s. I didn't lock in profits here because I had already sold into this area earlier. So from here, the main thing I really wanted to see was this is perfect as long as it can hold this previous resistance as new support near 760s. And we can see that it didn't quite do so. Made this little head and shoulders. Now, I went way more in depth in this in the recap we did today with TradeBuddy. I'm not going to go as in depth here for obvious reasons, not enough time. But basically, instead of selling into this for break even, I said from my past trades, I've seen this before, I'm just going to have a hard stop on the break below 680s. As long as it can make higher lows, I'm staying with it because there could be other sellers who are trapping themselves here thinking, okay, great, the squeeze is done. We hit that resistance, head and shoulders, time to short it. And they could get squeezed too. So I said, this is still good. We're above VWAP. It's first green day. As long as it makes higher lows, I'm sticking with it. And boy, that was the right call because after we broke 850s, that's when the short squeeze happened. You can see it just rocketed. 850s, 950s, 10s. And obviously at this point, it was very clear that we have a short squeeze on our hands. I mean, just look at how aggressive it's spiking up. Look at the volume coming in. Once again, this stock is up on no news. So of course it's a short squeeze. That's the only reason why this is moving. So with the short squeeze, it's gonna keep going until that momentum shifts where there's not enough shorts to squeeze out. And once that happens, it's going to turn and it's going to die. So the thing that I've learned with short squeezes is that it's very hard to predict the exact top, but at least if you can watch the price action and wait for it to turn, you can capture most of the move. And so during this, just to protect myself, I just kind of put hard stops along the way. So first hard stop was at just under $10. Then I raised it to 1080s. Then I raised it to 1180s. And eventually we halted into the close. It tried to squeeze higher in after hours, failed miserably, turned back around. So that to me was like the sentiment shift, so to say, where, if there were more shorts to squeeze, it shouldn't have had such a big rejection. That combined with the fact that it no longer held the 5-minute chart. Here, I'll be honest, this was the time to exit. I missed it. I sold at 13.10. But now it's down to $11 and I'm happy with that trade. So for short squeezes, very important to have some evidence at market open that there are shorts there. Obviously, MLGO is a bit of a special case because of this, just the trickiness it did by making sellers believe it would hold a resistance from the past, but then just blow through it. Looking for evidence in the morning of there being sellers, and then just following the basic rule of, hey, as long as previous resistance holds as new support, the stock can keep squeezing. Of course, this is not a guaranteed setup, right? There have been many, many, many trades where I have the same exact trade where I buy the breakout and retest the pre-market high, and it doesn't work. That's trading, right? We use an edge, we take the risk. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. As long as you have your risk management in play, as long as you use the trade planner to calculate your damn size, it's very hard to blow up when you follow these rules. So that's all I got for today. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I'm going to start making videos again. Sorry, I was gone for a year. Had some things in my personal life that hurt. So But I'm back. So see you guys in the next one.